On October 7, 2023, the ancient lands of Israel and Palestine once again became the epicenter of a conflict that captured the world's attention. But to truly understand this resurgence, we must look far beyond the headlines of today or the founding of Israel in 1948. We must journey back nearly 3,000 years. Our journey into the annals of history takes us back to a time when the lands of Israel and Palestine were not just markers on a map, but sacred grounds etched with the destiny of ancient civilizations. The kingdoms of Judah and Israel, central to our story, emerged in the 8th century BCE. These were not mere political entities. They were realms sanctified by divine promise, central to the Judaic worldview. Governed by kings and prophets, these kingdoms were the heartlands where Jewish religious and cultural identity was forged amidst conflict and communion. The scriptures tell tales of these times, of King Solomon's wisdom, of Prophet Isaiah's visions. Each story, each artifact from this era, offers a glimpse into the profound spiritual significance these lands held. It was here that the foundational texts of Judaism were lived and written, texts that have shaped the course of history. Archaeologists have unearthed layers of history here, from the remnants of Solomon's temple to seals bearing the names of biblical figures. Each discovery confirms the deep roots of Jewish presence and culture that have permeated these lands for millennia. But this land story is intertwined with conflict, marked by cycles of conquest and revival. As we explore these ancient roots, we uncover not just the origins of a nation, but the beginnings of a conflict that has transcended time, influencing the geopolitical tapestry of the entire region. Parallel to the storied chronicles of Judah and Israel, another narrative was unfolding along the coastal plains of the Mediterranean. Here, a people known as the Philistines made their mark on history, often cast as the adversaries in the biblical sagas of the Israelites. The Philistines, depicted in ancient texts as formidable foes, were a culturally and technologically advanced society. Their settlements were strategically positioned, their craftsmanship was sophisticated, and their influence on trade and military tactics was notable across the ancient Near East. Archaeological digs have revealed that the Philistines were not the marauders as often portrayed, but a civilization with a rich culture, skilled in arts, and known for their distinct pottery and architecture. These discoveries challenge the traditional narratives and invite us to view them as more than just antagonists to the biblical Israelites. Historically, the Philistines' presence in the region has been significant. Their interactions with the Israelites were complex, marked by conflict, but also by periods of coexistence and cultural exchange. This duality adds layers to our understanding of the region's history. The role of the Philistines in the biblical narrative and in the archaeological record provides a broader perspective on the ancient dynamics of this land. Their story is a testament to the mosaic of peoples and cultures that have historically contested and shaped this sacred region. As we peel back the layers of time, the land of Israel and Palestine reveals a tapestry woven with endless threads of conquest and resistance. From ancient rulers to modern-day leaders, each has left an indelible mark on this contested terrain. The Assyrians and Babylonians swept through these lands with iron and fire, reshaping the political landscape with each conquest. Centuries later, the Romans and Byzantines imposed their will, each layer adding complexity to an already intricate historical mosaic. Following the ancient empires, the rise of Islam brought new rulers and new religions to the fore. the Umayyads, Abbasids, and later the Ottomans extended their dominion, each empire weaving its own narrative thread into the fabric of the land. The Crusades introduced yet another chapter of bloodshed and belief, as Christian knights from Europe ventured to reclaim the Holy Land, leaving behind a legacy of conflict that echoed through the ages. In the modern era, the scars of the British Mandate and the partition plans of the early 20th century set the stage for the nationalistic and territorial disputes that continue to define the region today. Each empire, each ruler, and each era has contributed to a complex historical quilt, stitched together by centuries of ambitions, dreams, and conflicts. Today's strife in Israel and Palestine cannot be understood without acknowledging these deep historical roots that stretch back through millennia. Beyond the battles and the borders, the land of Israel and Palestine holds a profound spiritual significance that transcends mere geography. For Jews, Christians, and Muslims, this territory is not just land. It is a key to their spiritual ancestry and divine promises. Judaism sees this land as the promised land, given by covenant to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is the cradle of their faith, home to the ancient temple of Solomon, a place where heaven and earth are said to meet. For Christians, it is the Holy Land, scene of Jesus Christ's life, crucifixion, and resurrection. Each stone of Jerusalem tells a story of faith, martyrdom, and redemption that draws millions of pilgrims each year. Islam cherishes it as the land of Muhammad's night journey to heaven, anchored by the Al-Aqsa Mosque. For Muslims, it is a sacred site of worship and a pivotal part of the Islamic faith. The overlapping sacred narratives of these three major world religions add layers of complexity to the political tensions, making the Israeli-Palestinian conflict not only a matter of national identity, but also of religious righteousness. The modern implications of this spiritual significance are profound. The reality is that every political negotiation, every border dispute, and every peace talk is infused with millennia of religious history and beliefs. These are not just negotiations over land, but over sacred spaces that define identities. In today's world, where global politics often overshadow deeper spiritual and historical contexts, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict challenges us to consider how deeply faith can influence the map of the world. 1948, a year etched in the annals of history as a watershed moment for the land of Israel and Palestine. This year marked the establishment of the State of Israel, a joyous moment for Jews worldwide, symbolizing a phoenix rising from the ashes of the Holocaust. Yet it also heralded the onset of the Nakba, or catastrophe, as it is known among Palestinians, marking the beginning of displacement and loss. The United Nations partition plan intended to create a Jewish and an Arab state side by side. What followed, however, was not a peaceful coexistence, but a series of conflicts that would leave the region embroiled in a complex and ongoing struggle. As Israeli forces gained ground, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were uprooted from their homes, leading to a refugee crisis that persists to this day. Meanwhile, Israel began solidifying its sovereignty, becoming a sanctuary for Jews fleeing persecution, but also a focal point of contention in the Middle East. The outcomes of 1948 reshaped not just the region, but global politics, drawing in neighboring Arab nations and setting the stage for further wars, including those of 1967 and 1973, which further complicated the geopolitical tapestry of the Middle East. Today, the legacy of 1948 continues to influence every facet of life in Israel and Palestine. For Israelis, it represents the realization of a millennia-old dream. For Palestinians, a memory of dispossession and longing for lost homeland. As we reflect on this pivotal year, we must understand that the events of 1948 are not merely historical footnotes. They are active memories that continue to shape the politics, society, and even the daily conversations of millions in Israel and Palestine today. In the decades following the pivotal events of 1948, the Israeli-Palestinian landscape has been marked by a series of intense flare-ups and fervent peace efforts. Each episode of conflict brings with it renewed pain and yet another attempt to forge a path toward reconciliation. The intifadas in the late 20th and early 21st centuries symbolize the intense struggle of the Palestinian people for statehood and sovereignty, countered by Israel's efforts to secure its borders and citizens. These uprisings have shaped the political identities of generations, embedding a legacy of resistance and resilience. Amidst the turmoil, moments of hope have emerged. The Oslo Accords in the 1990s marked a significant, though incomplete step towards peace, creating frameworks for future negotiations. Yet, the road to peace has been anything but smooth, with each accord and ceasefire frequently followed by setbacks and skepticism from both sides. In recent years, international efforts to mediate peace have intensified, involving a myriad of global actors from the United Nations to regional powers. The goal remains elusive, a sustainable peace that respects the rights and aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians. The quest for peace is further complicated by the evolving geopolitical landscape, including shifting alliances and the broader Middle Eastern conflicts which often redraw lines of support and contention.